Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at X-Rays, where knowledge meets inspiration in the intricate dance of industry evolution. My name is Miles, and here's another episode where innovation gets interrogated and ideas are cross-examined, all with a smile and a splash of smart curiosity. Today, we are diving into the second part of our special series, A World Without Lawyers. Before we all get excited, and while AI is changing legal practice at lightning speed, there's one truth we keep coming back to. Tech is a tool, not a takeover. And to help us unpack what meaningful, mature, and ethical collaboration between humans and machines actually looks like in the world of law, we have a guest who doesn't just talk about legal tech innovation, she's building it. She's an award winning barrister, a thought leader in law and technology, and the woman behind a trustworthy, soon to be launched AI powered legal research platform, MiAI Law, a tool that thinks like a lawyer but still lets the lawyer do the thinking. Please welcome
I
the
love that.
unstoppable, the ever curious, one of the most insightful returning guests that we have, Lena Chan. Hi, Lena.
I love that. I have to use that. I have to use that. What did you say? That's the thinking, but what was it again? It's
Yeah, it's a
fantastic.
tool that thinks like a lawyer but still lets the lawyer do the thinking.
No, that's brilliant. That totally encapsulates it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, welcome, Lena. I'm always happy to have you here. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm in Malaysia.
I know you've been traveling a lot and you've been busy. That's why thank you so much for being here. And today we're pulling apart what this partnership between lawyers and AI actually looks like. Because while the last episode was all about why humans matter, this one asks, how do humans and machines work together wisely and perhaps ethically? So let's dive right in, Lena. You've often told me that AI is here to augment, not to replace. So this time, can you give us a concrete example where AI made you a better lawyer, not a redundant one?
Let's start with the way AI works. So I know I've said that AI works on probabilities, predictions, etc. But AI also works better based on the prompt that you give it. That means the questions that you put to the AI.
Mhm.
It's completely guided by the questions you ask it. It doesn't go off and just if you give it a bad prompt, you get a bad answer.
Uh-huh.
So the reason why lawyers are so important is because lawyers have the fundamental base knowledge to know what questions to ask. So I've even seen like my children or other people try to interact with a language model, and the way the questions that they've asked will not produce the same answers when I'm trying to get the same kind of information out of it. It's totally guided by your prompts. The prompts are
Yeah.
really important.
Uh-huh.
So I've been a barrister for a long time, but people have always said that, it's litigators that make the best contract drafters. And that's because we know what can go wrong in a contract because we've litigated about it. But
Mhm.
when I started MiAI Law, I needed to draft a lot of contracts. I mean, we've drafted a lot of contracts. I've had to draft employment agreements, founders agreements, deeds of variations, deeds for the appointments of advisors, so many. And but I used AI to help me, and I ask it questions about what kind of issues I should be thinking of. I tell it what I want it to achieve,
Mhm.
and then I ask it to prepare a draft. It's never very good. But then I then keep interrogating it because I know what kind of clauses I want to go into the agreement. It just prepares a draft for me. And
Mhm.
I keep going back and forth with it until finally it cannot do any better. And then I manually edit everything. But it's useful because it's given me a draft.
Uh-huh.
And the draft has been completely formed by the questions I've put to it and the points that I say I want to be included in the draft.
Mhm. Yeah.
Then after I do all of that, and I also use it to help me draft letters, etc. But
Mhm.
it still takes me hours, but maybe it'll take half the time than if you had to do it from scratch.
Yeah.
So I do it all, I prepare the draft, I take the draft that the AI has helped me prepare. Then I sit there and I manually amend and make all the amendments that I want. Then I give it to my in-house counsel. She casts her eyes through it and, and picks up issues that may have to be picked up. And then it goes to the external lawyer and he looks through it. And then he might come back with a couple of comments as to what we should do, or
Uh-huh.
sometimes we don't have to do anything, about
Mhm.
how we might tighten it up even further. So it's very silly to say that AI can replace you when in this process I've used AI to help me draft and it saved me time and also
Uh-huh.
gives you ideas because I can say to it, what other issues or what other points do you think I should cover in an agreement like this because I want to ensure this particular kind of outcome. And it'll
Mhm.
do some research and it'll tell me. But then I have to use all my domain knowledge to say, well, yeah, this clause has worked in the past, this one hasn't. I need to include an arbitration clause. I need to do this, I need to do that, etc.
Yeah.
Then, as I said, then I have to spend maybe, it could take up to 4 or 5 hours, even working with an AI to draft an agreement, a comprehensive agreement. And then it has to be reviewed by two other lawyers. So to
Yeah.
think that AI can completely replace a human is just silly. How can you do that?
Impossible.
The AI has no judgment.
Uh-huh. Right. No emotions, no judgment, nothing. But that's
Oh,
why
no,
they see
no
that.
judgment, no experience, no domain expertise.
And that's why they say with AI, with tools like whatever AI you're using, with the best prompt, it gives the best response. And it's such a powerful reminder that AI is more like maybe a parrot than a philosopher. Just because it completes your sentence doesn't mean it understands the actual conversation. And you mentioned pattern recognition isn't legal reasoning, and human interpretation still reigns. So let's build on that with a question about people, Lena, not just machines. How do you manage the overtrust problems, especially among junior lawyers who might defer a little too quickly to whatever the machine spits out?
It's really about training. And I know I said in the last episode that we were talking about how do we get lawyers ready to work in an AI hybrid world. It really has to come back to how they're taught at university. And the more I think about it, the more it has to be the way. They have to be taught right from the get-go to
Mhm.
be not so trusting. And I remember when I was at high school, at an international school in Malaysia, actually,
Ah,
there was an English Australian teacher who came who taught us English. And
okay.
he wasn't the best teacher, but he taught me the most important lesson. He taught me that to always question what you read and not just take everything as gospel. And just because it's reported in the newspaper, it doesn't mean it's correct. You have to test it yourself and you have to question everything you read. And that is the same lesson that students and law students and lawyers have to learn about AI. Don't just take it as gospel. And
Mhm.
maybe in the past when you're doing a Google search, an article came up. Yes, it's not hallucination because the article actually exists and that's what it says. But it doesn't mean that the information that's contained in the article is credible. We know this now in an age where we've got so much fake news, etc. We've got
Right. Mhm. I agree. And exactly.
politicians saying things that are not necessarily even grounded on truth. You can't believe everything you hear, you can't believe everything you read, and you definitely cannot believe everything that an AI spits out at you, no matter how good it is.
Uh,
You
right.
always have to check it and that I think comes back to training and a shift in mindset from people. I don't understand why they're so eager to just take everything that an AI spits out of them as gospel. Maybe
Mm.
it's laziness. It's laziness, right? Because you
Yeah.
can't think that they do not have that doubt that maybe in there it's not 100% accuracy.
I mean, we should be happy that we're saving time, but doesn't mean that we should be lazy and not actually check the
Yes.
material or the one you're working on because it's you on the line, not AI. So it's your credibility. And you're right. Training isn't a checkbox, it's a culture because relying on AI without context at all is like copying your homework from a friend who skipped class, let's say. It might be fast, yes, but it's probably wrong. So speaking of shortcuts, let's talk about the risk of taking too many. Is there a risk that lawyers become too optimized, that with tidy AI outputs, they might lose their creative edge or maybe curiosity?
For some, definitely. For some, definitely, right? I
So
mean, there
true.
are lawyers who are really pressed for time,
Uh-huh.
and then for them, maybe the temptation is just to take whatever AI says to you and not apply your critical thinking. And we've already seen that
Mhm.
because we've already had lawyers being pulled up in Australian disciplinary proceedings for relying upon the AI output in their submissions, relying on cases that don't even exist, and they've gotten into trouble. And
Mhm.
again, they must know that what they're doing is wrong. And the courts have addressed this by putting out practice notes to say that you have to check it, your submissions, and if you use AI, you have to, I think you have to say that you have used AI in helping you prepare the submissions. But it's as stupid as a senior partner in a law firm relying upon the output of a junior lawyer or a paralegal without checking it.
Yeah. And AI doesn't kill curiosity. It actually frees it.
No, AI doesn't kill curiosity. I think AI can help you explore
Mm-hmm.
alternative pathways because it can process so much information. It can give you alternative methods to reach the goal that you want to reach. And it's up to the human lawyer to look at these different alternatives and work out which is the best way forward.
Mm-hmm. And less time hunting through a haystack, more time figuring out why the needle matters. And that's the kind of optimization that we want. So let's stay in that vein and talk about something you've baked into my AI law, a little friendly friction, Lena. Do you believe AI tools should challenge lawyers, not just assist them? And how can legal tech be designed to push thinking instead of just, serving it up?
Well, you put that actually in your system prompt. You put that in your master system prompt where you are telling your AI how you want it to behave. So ours has been told to behave in that way.
Okay.
Ours has been told to tell the reader no.
Uh-huh.
It's been told to tell the reader yes, no, that we're not just here to please you. That if the answer is no, we tell you it's no, and we challenge the reader, and we not reader, we challenge the user. We're not programmed to always please you. So
Yeah.
we our system has been told you are not to hallucinate, you're not to make up answers if you're just not there to just please the user.
Hmm. So truth over comfort.
Yes. And
Hmm.
and those LLMs that are out there right now, of course, it's just because it's relying on predictions and probabilities, but they do seem to be very obsequious. I mean, they're always trying to help you and tell you,
And
you're
just
right.
for the sake of giving an answer, I think. And I love that my AI law will actually say, "Oh, we don't know," instead of faking confidence.
Yes, that's true. We'll tell you we don't know. We'll challenge you. We'll ask you questions. We'll tell you we think it can't be done.
Uh-huh. Well,
Not just that.
that's the kind of honesty that builds trust, and it forces lawyers to think, not just type. So let's round this out, Lena. What do you think is the most underestimated advantage that human lawyers bring to AI assisted legal workflows?
Domain expertise.
Uh-huh.
It's the expertise that they've developed over years of practice and experience. And
Mm.
I know non-lawyers don't understand this because non-lawyers just see, oh, I don't want to pay lawyers because they're expensive, etc. They don't appreciate the effort that went into that lawyer developing that expertise to be able to charge them the money that they charge.
Mhm.
So the only people, yes, so it's really non-lawyers who think that we can have automated decision making in the future. It's non-lawyers who think that there's no issue between, having uploading one side's lawyer's submissions and case, etc., and the other side uploading, maybe all of it's done by AI, and then having it all decided by an AI as well. But all of that misses the fact that, yes, it's just patterns and predictions, and there's no judgment. Nobody will actually understand. If you rely upon AI to be your lawyer, for both sides and you rely upon AI to be the judge, then all the biases that have been there in the training material creep in.
Yeah.
Nobody actually understands what anything is happening. Everything is just done on predictions and probabilities. And so where is the truth? And
Yeah.
truth, because everyone is just relying upon
The predictions of AI.
and probabilities. There's no truth involved there.
Yes. And again, expertise is key. Judgment and common sense may
Yes.
not sound glamorous, but they're the scaffolding of justice. You can't prompt your way to wisdom, and you definitely can't download it, right?
But not only that, right? So when we're talking about the system prompts that are not the system prompts, sorry,
Uh-huh.
the user prompts that and the better quality of the user prompt, the better quality of the answer. This isn't, I'll give you an example. So in the last week, we've been testing our model. And when we first tested it, we didn't have any of my domain expertise in there. We were just testing it. We had built up the data set,
Mhm.
etc. And we were asking it legal questions and it was getting it wrong. And I knew why, because it wasn't reading the cases properly, it wasn't summarizing properly. It was getting confused between who was the majority judge, who was the minority judge. So it wasn't understanding each case properly because it was only going on probabilities and predictions.
Yeah.
Then in the last 10 days, I've been developing a set of algorithms, etc. I'll just say etc. because we're looking to see whether we can patent all of this, so I can't tell you what we've been doing. But
Uh-huh.
we've developed a whole set of algorithms that together, when implemented, we're putting it all into the system, our system now, will get my AI to think like a lawyer, like to think like a PhD level research
Mhm.
level lawyer. And it's that knowledge that will make my AI really useful to the practicing lawyer because we're not now no longer just relying upon the probabilities and predictions of what might be the second word. We now have systems in place and algorithms in place to guide it to actually think and behave like a
Like a
lawyer.
lawyer, like a
But
PhD.
that doesn't mean that you can still cut out the human feedback loop at the
Yes.
end. We're just making sure that the output that comes out is optimized to be as useful as possible to a lawyer. But we still have, alternative pathways, etc., that a lawyer will still have to exercise their judgment to see, which pathway is the best pathway to achieve the outcome that the client wants.
Mhm.
But even in an AI model, it doesn't work when you don't have the domain expertise built into it.
Right. And if today's episode proved anything, Lena, it's that the future of law isn't AI or humans, it's AI with humans. Because why not? Collaboration is key.
It's just really weird how people are so worried AI is going to take over the world. I mean,
I
AI
know.
has only been taught, AI has only been taught to predict the next word. That's all AI has been taught to do
Yeah. Uh-huh.
so far. The language model, that's what they've been taught to do, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of work has gone into getting the AI to help you code, and it's really very good at that. But maybe because the developers are all coders. So they have done a really good job of training the language models to help them code. But
Yeah.
otherwise, in terms of text, it's just predicting the next word. And to think that, oh, right, the future's going to be taken over because now some generic language model that has been trained on the whole internet that can predict what is likely to be the next word, and it's only been
Uh-huh.
trained on generic language, is going to take over the world is quite surprising to me, especially now that I spent so much time developing our model and I know all the constraints in there. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that when you are just using a generic language model, the answers are all wrong for law.
Interesting. Well, good thing there's a testing phase.
Yes. And
Course.
development.
Yes.
Right.
And as I always say, the best tools aren't the ones that make me lazy. They're the ones that make me better. So that's kind of my AI law in the future. So, Lena, thank you so much for helping me reframe the conversation again. Your work at my AI law continues to challenge the status quo, not just with tech, but with intention. And so, thank you so much. I appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, Miles.
Thank you. And I hope you get to rest after this busy week.
Two
And
conferences I have to go to next week.
I,
I have to
I
meet. Yeah.
I
Anyway,
hope we could do the third and fourth episode soon. So thank you so much again, Lena. And that's a wrap. Whether you're a firm, a solo practitioner, or someone just wondering what legal AI should look like, it's worth your time to check out My AI Law through the link below. Thank you once again for staying with us, and I hope you join us in the third part of this series with Lena as we dig into the warnings. Yes, the hallucinations, the biases, the black box drama. It's going to be juicy. Until then, this has been your host, Miles. Stay focused and inspired with X Rays.